What is the origin of Freemasons and what is the role which they're playing?
Freemasons began this secret society, which was not very secret at that time, just without any plan, without any design to gain power over the world. But gradually this was captured by Jews. Originally it was not made at the auspices of the Jews. So whenever people speak of Freemasons, they refer to the early history, the Jewish people, and say, look here, we didn't make them. They were already there in Scotland. Wasn't it? It is Scotland in Glasgow, I think. But later on, they captured them. And this is their strategy. They let an organization grow, and when they think such an organization will be of advantage to them, then they capture them. So Freemasons later on were completely mastered by Jewish people, and the proof of that lies in the fact that even before the turn of the century, there was a book written on Freemasonry and how the Freemasons will completely capture the entire world without people taking notice of that. Now this book was confiscated by Russians in early 1900 up to 5 and so on and so forth. And the Freemasonry was completely charted in that book, word for word, feature by feature. Many times the Jewish people have tried to throw it out of the window so that nobody can relate it to the Jewish people. But this book, it has a quality about it which can never be dissociated with the Jews. Even in your country, Switzerland, an appeal was launched against those who believed that Freemasonry was under the Jewish control. And particularly about this book, they mentioned it's not possible, this is not our work, because at the time of Marx, similar plan as found in this book had been published, although not in such detail, not carrying all the features, but still it contained the central theme of this book, which is related to the Jews. Some Christian scholars jumped upon this opportunity and said, we thought you started as late as the end of the century, but you are proving that you started much earlier. Even that plan was Jewish. It was not written, the documents were not written or prepared by Christian people. The first plan was also Jewish, and the second plan of the Freemasonry, the book written about the Freemasons, that Freemasons will capture the whole world. This book was an offshoot of the same older book. So the Christian scholars proved the point that this is not a new thing. You have been thinking and contemplating and planning this much earlier. So they thanked the Jewish people who pointed it out, in the sense that they said we were puzzled about Marxism spreading in Russia, and Marxist people particularly taking every effort to suppress this book. So they were no friends to Jews, but any book which revealed the plan of the Jewish people to capture the whole world had to be suppressed. So, although it was apparently suppressed during the time of the Tsars, but I don't remember exactly the proofs and things, the proof which they carried, or the evidence which the Christian scholars have produced. That definitely shows that it were the Marxist people during 1905 who manipulated this. So if I had that book in my, if I had just recently read that book, everything would come back to me. But this much I know, if you want to read all about this, which I'm talking about, you better read Water Flowing Eastwards. This is the title of the book. Water Flowing Eastward, isn't it? Yes. I've got a copy of that with me. If you want to read that book, you can get it from the private secretary. And you know that? Right. So in that, a reference is given to his country as well. The Jewish people took this case to a Swiss court, the judge of that court, the chief judge, happened to be a Jew. And in that court, they presented all the evidence which I'm talking about. And that court gave a verdict in favor of the Jews and said Freemasonry has nothing to do with the Jewish people. And they propagate to the whole world the finding, the ultimate decision of that court, while they do not mention that an appeal was launched by the Christian people who had taken this matter to the court. Now, who were defending their case, the Jewish people had taken the matter to the court. They launched an appeal, and the Supreme Court of Switzerland completely annulled and quashed the findings of the High Court. So they tell the world about the decision of the High Court, they do not tell the world about its being quashed altogether by superior authority. So it's a very complicated affair. But the best comment which I have read about this is somebody in England said that their evidence is very strong, that document which was published in 1898 or something, or 1890 somewhere, they produce a very strong evidence that this document was not prepared by Jewish people. He said we have no escape but to accept that. But then we must also believe that this document was prepared by a prophet of God, because everything which is said in this book has come to be fulfilled.
I'm sorry, who said this?
I think it was, I don't remember, Disraeli or somebody. I don't know his age when he was.
It was a Jew himself.
No. British Prime Minister or British Minister or something.
Yes, but he was a Jew, wasn't he?
Disraeli was a Jew.
Disraeli was a Jew.
Then he was not that.
It wasn't, no.
What I mean to say is, that's why I didn't name him. Somewhere I might have named him by mistake, but the minister or the Prime Minister, I think, of that time, he made this comment.
I see.
He said that we have to agree with the strong evidence which they produced to counter the impression that this book was prepared by them. But then this must have been written by a prophet of God, because every word of that book has come true. Even the making of the United Nations, even the making of the World Health Organization. Who could dream in those days of these things happening when there was no United Nations, nothing, no sub-organizations of the United Nations which are mentioned in detail. And it is said that they will do this, they will perform this, they will perform that, and that is how we will capture the entire world. not realizing, the world not realizing what's happening to them. And then there is other evidence which was collected by some people who are dedicated to prove that this is a Jewish conspiracy which is spread all over the world. I once saw a debate on British television in which the proponents of this plan that this is a Jewish organization gave evidence that in every sphere of British life, in all cabinets, whether they're Labour or Conservative, the members in majority are Freemasons. Now the evidence was so strong that the Jewish people who said no could not disprove this. They were very well prepared in this case. But that program never appeared again. So the same powerful lobby must have suppressed it. I think for the time being that should be sufficient.